Well, all right. It has been quite some time since I've said anything on this channel as far as long form videos are concerned. Short form, those have been popping off lately, but kind of need to get back to real discussion around here. And this past week I was busy. You probably saw some photos of me, at the Stars game, at the State Fair of Texas. I was doing something else on Wednesday night, so I couldn't do any sort of recording this past week. So I'm just like, okay, let me get my things together. Let me get those situated, get everything done I need to get done. You know, now I'm broke again, which is the bad thing. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. So I'm gonna start with the pros first because that's kind of where things can be short, simple, and sweet. The Dallas Pulse, they are the Major League Volleyball team that will be playing up in Frisco at the Comerica Center because everything needs to go to the Comerica Center apparently. I don't know why everything is going to Frisco. You look at like the Dallas Renegades, the UFL, MLS out there, the FCS Championship was out there. I don't understand what the fascination is with Frisco, but Dallas is going to there. Teams are still signing players and stuff like that, by the way, as far as the pros are concerned. Of course, you have overseas volleyball that is starting to take shape in places like Spain, Turkey, and others. Everything's starting to take shape. League One Volleyball, on the other hand, said, okay, we can one-up you and say, hey, we're gonna do some things in LA. We're gonna have an LA team for 2027. We're also going to have a TV deal with USA Network from the new Versant package, that's been splitting off because, things have been splitting off. So, yeah, Versant and League One Volleyball have said, okay, let's come together. Let's make a deal. We made a deal. And that's exactly what happened. So, on the college side, man, there's been some crazy stuff. The top 16 was revealed on Sunday. Things are obviously going to change, from now until Selection Sunday on November the 30th. But at the same time, the top 16 kind of revealed a couple things. There are still two unbeaten, those being Nebraska and Texas. Those are the two unbeatens that are left in college volleyball. And a whole heck of a lot of good teams behind them, a whole heck of a lot of good teams. Did you expect Indiana to come up and do the way that they did? They racked up a few good wins, and they've been playing like crazy. Ella Rubin, Carrie Spears, amongst others, have just been playing lights out. Coach Erger and those SMU Mustangs, they were able to beat Louisville. Louisville had like 3 different set match points, and yet Malaya Jones, Coach Erger, Coach Erger, and those SMU Mustangs, which I will be seeing those SMU Mustangs on Friday night. I'll be seeing them take on Wake Forest on Friday night at 7 p.m. inside the Movie Coliseum in Dallas, of course, because we gotta keep it. So I'll be seeing the currently ranked and keep in mind the current top 25 just came out a couple hours ago. The current top 25 has SMU at number 7. So the number 7 team in the country, I will be seeing them, there. There's some other teams that are ranked, really in position to be in position again. Yes, Penn State is 15th in this top 16 reveal. Do they have the resume? Yes, they kind of do. Injuries and people leaving, like Stark, leaving, other things it may look like, well, this Penn State team should be up here. But the fact of the matter is they have the resume to be where they are supposed to be at. Same thing with a team like Creighton. They have the resume to be where they're supposed to be at. You could say like Kansas could be here, Miami could have been here, but ultimately that didn't really happen because they did lose to Stanford on Sunday. I'm surprised Miami is ranked as high as they are, but they've been racking up wins. Olivia Babcock and the Pitt Panthers were on a tear, against Louisville. Louisville, yeah, they're number 6, but their resume is really, really good though. Really good resume. And when you look at things, a lot of people are going to argue, well, what about Pitt being over Kentucky, or Penn State? Oh well, they have one of the best players in the country, still in Kennedy Martin, but like they just still haven't had the resume. They still have the resume. Like, what are we talking about here? A&M, a team again that just returned everybody. I mean, everybody. Obviously they were going to be, in the top 16. I did not doubt that for a second. But Texas and Nebraska still being the two unbeaten. Yeah. You didn't expect that. But a lot of the stuff has been about, teams like SMU lately, TCU having to fend off Kansas State this past weekend. I mean, there's been some good games this past weekend that I've really only caught the highlights of. Again, I was at the fair, so I did not see the initial top 16 reveal during that Pitt Kentucky game, which went 5 sets, by the way. And those cardiac kids in Kansas, oh yeah, they're still going 5 setters and everything like that. Like this is a situation where we are looking real good. And there's some other teams that are looking really, really intriguing, like USC, UCLA. They are looking, they're looking very intriguing. Michigan just set a attendance record of over 12,000. There's other players too, like Ava Hudson, Andy Jackson. They are on a tear out here. They're on a tear of being, just some of the best out here. And there's things are coming to a head as conference play continues. Things are coming to a head as conference play continues. There's overseas play that's happening, and the pros overseas are having fun. As far as the MLB is concerned, I have not seen the schedule yet. We kind of need to see that. It's really, really soon. I would love to see that so I can know which Dallas Pulse game am I going to in 2026, because I am building my 2026 tour schedule, building it up. You probably seen the fall tour, the tour that will end the year. We already got one day off our list during that Stars game, last Thursday night. So, yeah. But yeah, this is a conundrum in and of itself as conference play continues to weed out some of the pretenders from the contenders. I think this is a solid top 16, not gonna lie. Arizona State is also, one of those teams that's just kind of, doing good right now. Don't underestimate anybody from these 16. And there's more teams. Like I said, there's teams like BYU, that are, stomping at the bit. This is a college volleyball season that, there's 2 teams that are running roughshod over everyone else, looking like they're going on a collision course in the national championship. There are a lot of teams that could potentially knock them off. Again, you need to win 3 sets in college football. You can go 3 or 4 or even 5, but hey, the goal is to win 3 sets. The goal is to win 3 sets by 2 at minimum. Go to 25 at minimum, but by 2 at minimum. So, there's teams that have fell off, like Florida, unfortunately, has fallen off a little bit. North Carolina's still pretty good, as well. There's a lot of good teams, a lot of volleyball left to watch. There's been some matchups that have been like, I'm scratching my head here. Like, what is going on here? What do you mean? This is not what I've anticipated, but it's happened and it's happening. So, I'm not surprised at all. Like I said, the top teams in college volleyball do face each other a lot more often than not. So this top 16 looks pretty accurate to me. Again, there are going to be some things that people kind of disagree with, but again, the resumes, the RPIs, the SOSs, and everything like that, all of that factors in. Strength of schedule, all that factors in. Strength of record, all that stuff. It all factors in. And there's other players, in the game like London YJ, I mean, again, we already talked about Ava Hudson, Logan Letnicki from A&M. There's just some amazing players in the college game that, we'll get to see, not only overseas, but maybe even in the pro leagues over the next couple of years. And I mean, there's just been some dominant games. There's been some games that have made me go, whoa, what in the world is this? And the highlights, continue to be electric. And that's what college volleyball is, electric. So from me to you, I'm gonna get on about y'all's hair and set things up for the next time I come to you, which will probably be Selection Sunday. Sunday night. Will probably be about 6:30, 7:30, something like that. So that's what I'm planning on. If not, it'll be that Monday after. So again, big sorry that I haven't posted anything in over a week and change. Again, things did get away from me. So, time, technically I was supposed to be, on vacation, but again, I had work the entire week last week too. So I couldn't do anything. That Monday I wasn't feeling, too hot. I should have made this video then, but the top 16 did come out yesterday. So I was like, you know what? Let me do this video today and get it out the way. College football and NFL will both have their own, videos over the next few days. So just stick around for that. And I'll see you again very, very soon, everybody.